Yebo. Welcome to Watch Me Build It. So good to be back with you. A while ago, I posted a video where I did the unboxing of this. It's the DIY Watch Club Bronze GMT. It was such a unique watch in that it was a bronze cased GMT that I couldn't help but approach DIY and say, listen, could I build one and review one? Now, there is a missing video from this series. I've done the unboxing. I will post a video on the build process because that's a big consideration when you buy a DIY watch. But today, I'm going to be doing the review of this watch. How have I gotten along with this bronze watch? And more importantly, when you're paying $540 for a watch that you have to build yourself, are you being ripped off? Is DIY Watch Club worthwhile? Come and have a look at the review with me, and afterwards I'll come back with some more opinion on the watch itself, and more importantly, more opinion on the DIY Watch Club. So there we have the womb from which it was born, the DIY Pro Watch tool set in its beautiful case and the great branding that they've got over there. And then this is what was constructed using the parts that were supplied. So let's do our outside in review. But today we'll begin with the measurements. So if we come along to measure the width of the bezel, you're just under 42. You can call it 42 mil, 14.3 mil. The lug to lug, they keep the lug to lug really small at 47.4, and then a lug width of 22 mil. So we're looking at a set of dimensions that are more reminiscent of the Seiko SKX 007. Let's get going on our outside in review. To begin with, the buckle. Now they've made a bronze buckle. You can see I've already scratched it over there. It's got a very neat little D on it, as the DIY Watch Club are so good at. And it is on a leather strap. I don't know too much about leather straps, but this one it's laminated, so it's like two pieces of leather thick and it becomes one piece of leather. It seems well stitched. It's got the DIY Watch Club branding on it. It says Pelle Toscana on over there, which would suggest it might be Italian, or it might be made in another part of the world with an Italian name. So what I'll be doing is I'll be scoring the buckle 3.5 out of 7 because it's nothing special in any way, shape or form, but it does its job well enough. And the strap similarly is going to score a 4 out of 7. Coming round to the case back. Now the case back is a display case back that always gets props, and then it has interesting information. DIY Watch Club, 200 meters water resistant, the DWG CD01 bronze, that's the model delineation. There's our D again, assembled by hand, assembled by your hand in automatic movement. This is a titanium case back because stainless steel would bond to the bronze, or that would interact badly with the bronze. And so it's a titanium case back. It's a nice case back. It's got quite a deep dish on it to accommodate the movement on the inside. And the case back is getting a 4 out of a possible 5. Right, then coming through to the case and bezel. And this is really where the game is at, isn't it? This is the bronze case. Now, bronze is well known for the fact that it picks up what they call patina. In other words, it's not stainless. In fact, on the edge of the watch, can you see that mark that's developed? I'm not sure what did that, but I managed to stain the side of the watch. That's part of its developing patina. You can see here as well, I seem to have scraped it. Bronze is way softer than stainless steel. And so this case is a case that's going to pick up character as you wear it. This watch is going to develop a story with you. Already you can see how dull the appearance of this is compared to when I first unboxed it. The case itself, I've really come to respect this case. I like this flared chamfer on the lug. It just brings a little visual interest to it. I also like the way that the lugs dip down so radically from the face of the watch, and they make it wear a lot smaller than it could have if it had flatter lugs. So I really do like this case. It's got crown guards that makes it really practical and robust. And then we come round to the bezel. I must say, it's not the snappiest sounding bezel, and I do know that bronze watches always sound different, and it's a rather tight bezel action, and so the bezel itself isn't something I would write home about, but it does its job well enough. The bezel insert is a bit of a different story. It's a matte black ceramic bezel insert, and it's got loomed indices for the GMT scale, and I really do like the bezel inserts, and I think it's well chosen for this watch, and it helps retain the muted element of it. And so case and bezel, I'm giving 13 minus 1 for the stiff bezel action, so it's a total of 12 out of 15. Loom, I will insert a loom shot here, but the loom is really good on this watch. It's BGW9, but it glows really strong. Everything lights up because the bezel insert is also loomed, and it's getting a 9 out of a possible 10. Right, then on to the crystal, hands, and dial. The crystal itself is a very lightly double domed sapphire crystal, but it is sapphire. Unobtrusive in the way that it operates. It's got AR coating on it, and I think it does its job really well. Then the dial is a matte black sandwich dial, and there's a matte black chapter ring to go with it. This is one place where I have a little bit of a, DIY Watch Club, you could do this better. This is a GMT watch, and in order to maximize its functionality, you should really have a 24-hour grade on the chapter ring in the same way that Seiko does with theirs. Then you can properly track 2 time zones. But if you don't have a graded chapter ring, or you don't have the 24-hour grade printed on the dial, it really takes away the functionality of the bezel, because sliding the bezel around is how you track the second time zone, but you need the fixed marks of the 24-hour grade. So I think that's a bit of a minus on the dial. I think the dial could have been better chosen, or the chapter ring, for a GMT watch. But the dial and chapter ring themselves, and for what they do their job really well. Now we've got gold hands, which I think were a good choice, and they add a little bit of jewel-like quality to a watch that's becoming more tool-like. And I think they accomplish what they set out to do, and they do it really well. I was a bit concerned about the arrow hand. So this is DIY Watch Club's signature style, is the triangle on the GMT, the triangle on the counterbalance of the second hand. That's actually the end of the second hand, that's the counterbalance. And then the triangle on the hour hand. I think the counterbalance on the second hand as an arrow is a little bit ambiguous, but you know what, once you know what you're doing, it's not the end of the world. But all in all, it's a good handset. A little bit sparkly when the watch itself begins to patina, but nonetheless, it does the job well. So crystal, dial, and hands, I'm giving 12 out of a possible 15. Right, and now for the movement. The movement will be found around the back. It's the Seiko NH34 GMT movement. The folk from DIY Watch Club were very kind. They customized this rotor for me, and you can see my Rossbauer logo is laser etched onto the rotor, and there you can see the NH34 ticking away. I promise you the NH34 and the NH35 on the back end are identical movements. All of the difference is around the dial side of the movement. So if you'll permit me, I'm going to give a little bit of a demonstration on how this GMT function works. This is not a true GMT. A true GMT function would be able to skip the local hour hand and retain the GMT marker. This is a desk GMT where the hour hand stays in its position And then if you pop the crown out to its first position, where you would normally set the date, it'll wind the date on. If you go anti-clockwise, there we go, we've wound the date on. And if you go clockwise, it'll move the GMT hand in 1 hour increments. Now they're half-hour increments on the 12-hour scale, but remember it's 1 hour on the 24-hour scale. And that way you can track a second time zone. For example, this watch is presently reading at 10 in the morning. Now, if I was tracking a time zone that was 6 hours ahead of me, I would be looking at a time zone that would be 4 in the afternoon. And that is right there. Do you see the 16? That means 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so that hand is now pointing at a time zone 6 hours ahead of the time zone that is local to me. Once you're in that position, you just fasten your crown, and no matter what time of day, if you look down and you read the position of the GMT hand against that 24-hour grade, you will get the hour of the zone that you're tracking, and the minutes will always be the same as the zone that you're in. Usually I give Seiko NH movements a standard score, and I think it's 17 out of 20 for the movement. I'm taking half a point off of this movement because it's a desk GMT and not a proper traveler's GMT. I think if Seiko pulled off a traveler's GMT, they would have taken the world by storm in an even greater way than what they are already doing with this GMT movement. Then X Factor. I have to say, I've liked this watch more than I thought I was going to. What is it that I like about this watch? I'll say a bit more about it later, but it is a tool watch in a very unexpectedly real sense of the word. When I first got the watch, it looked like it was gold, but as it's patinaing, that gold color is really calming down. And with the watch on the leather, with the matte bezel insert, with the matte dial, it's really becoming a muted, unobtrusive timepiece. Its size is nice and chunky. Like I said, it's around the same sizing as an SKX 007. So it's a robust, masculine piece, but it really has a tool feel to it. It's not lighting my fire like other watches might, but it's getting a strong 7 out of 10 for the X Factor. Value I will address a little later, but I'm going to give it 7 out of 10 for value. Now, for a watch that you build yourself and that costs north of $500, that might surprise you, but I'll say more about that in a moment. In case you're wondering, I'm back at my favorite venue. I'm going to film a lot of my videos here. It's called the Wood Stack. It's located at the Moore Abbey Woods in County Kildare, just outside of Monastravan. If you're in County Kildare, Ireland, and you want to go for a great walk, this is a good place to do it. So that's where I'm coming from today. Now, about the value proposal on this watch. How is it that I gave a watch that costs north of $500 and that you have to build yourself? How did I give that a 7 out of 10 for value? Well, it all comes down to the case. The fact that it is bronze kind of puts it in a no man's land. It puts it in a place where it's difficult to tell what we should be thinking about this. So if you look at this bronze GMT diver, it costs $504.95 if you take the watch without the tool set, and if you take it with the cheaper domed sapphire crystal. In comparison, you can get a stainless steel cased GMT diver from the DIY Watch Club with a rubber strap for $308.95. That is a difference of $196. You're paying $196 premium for a bronze case. That is a 66% increase in price. Is that reasonable? Well, I went and had a look at the Tudor Black Bay, because the Tudor Black Bay has a bronzed case watch as well. Now, the Tudor Black Bay costs $3,770 on a canvas strap, And if you buy the Black Bay Bronze on a canvas strap, you'll pay $4,450. So that's an increase of $680. That's more than the price of this watch. That's the premium you pay for bronze at Tudor. However, that $680 only represents 18% of the watch's value. So the percentage increase is much larger at the DIY Watch Club. So you're going, is it worth paying the premium for this watch? Well, I then thought of it from a different perspective. And the other perspective I thought of it was, how does the price of the Bronze GMT stack up against the price of a Seiko 5 GMT, the watch that heroed this movement in the first place? Well, if you go along to the Long Island Watch website, and if you're buying a mail order standard branded watch, please buy it from Mark at Long Island Watch. You will pay $475 for the Seiko 5 GMT. Now, that's only less than $30 cheaper than this Bronze GMT. So all of a sudden the value looks good because you're getting a bronze cased watch and it's got the same movement and you're paying marginally less for it than you would for the Seiko. So that's why I'm saying it's a bit difficult to plot. I'm not going to give it massive score on value because it is expensive, but I'm not going to mark it down tremendously because it actually is competitive. Now, regardless of what I think about how expensive it is, there are a lot of customers out there who didn't think it was too expensive to buy a bronze watch because they're sold out. All of their bronze cases are gone. So the DIY Watch Club, the gamble worked. And they found a large customer base who were able and willing to buy this watch. But what about the DIY Watch Club? Are their products overpriced? Well, what I'd like to do is take a look at a couple of different watches from their website. And I would invite you to think perhaps a little differently about the DIY Watch Club. So let's have a look at their site quickly. First, a word about tools. You can buy any of their watches without tools, or you can have the Pro tool set, which we're familiar with because this is the most expensive and it came with the unboxing. Or you can have a polyurethane case with tools on the inside. These are the same tools, but they're not the same quality. And the entry-level tool set comes in a paper box, and it has, again, all of the tools that you will need to build your watch. They're just at the most entry level of the spectrum. The most affordable watch on the site is the Red Explorer with a base price of $150. Easy to pay for, easy to build. The skeleton dial blue bezel is the most popular watch on the site at $228. You can choose between a K1 crystal or a plexiglass crystal, and you can have your choice of tool set with this one. Something else that's nice to see about this watch is just how pretty it is. The skeleton movement is really good to look at, and it's got a display case back as well, and really a pretty dress watch for $228. At $240, I thought this pilot's watch represented good value because you get the watch head and 3 different straps. One of the options on this particular set is the movement. You can choose between a Miyota 8215 or a Miyota 8315, and of course you can decide what kind of tool set you take with you. Now, if you want to know what the 8315 is about, scroll down the page and you will see that the 8315 has a hacking second hand and a much better power reserve. If you're really itching for a dive watch, the best price you will pay is $280 for this classic dive watch with a black strap and black dial. You can choose between a mineral crystal, a dome crystal, or a top hat sapphire, and you can have your choice of toolkit. It really is a strong watch with classic looks. It's got really good lume, as you will see in one of the photos, and it lights up at night. It's really good BGW9, and it's got great mod potential. If you buy a couple of bezel inserts, you can change up the look of your watch. And this watch is also driven by a Seiko MH35. $355 is what you will pay for a GMT with a stainless steel bracelet. This is the Coke color arrangement. They're out of the Batman colorways. Something I would point out is there are two straps available. There's a light strap and there's a regular strap. Don't buy the light strap. It's hollow links and push pins. The regular strap will bring you solid links and screw pins. Please take that option. If you're looking for a more feminine build, $290 will buy you this Explorer watch with a white dial and strap, but the BGW9 lights up in a beautiful turquoise color at night. Now, if you're looking for a challenge, you're a bit more experienced at building watches, you're in luck. The DIY Watch Club have just launched their Tourbillon range. Tourbillon is a complication that comes from the history of watchmaking, and it looks fantastic, where that escapement wheel turns in that silver cage once per minute. There's a warning that only experienced watch builders should take this project on. Tourbillons have always been expensive, and that's still true at $780 for the base set. This is the most expensive product on the site. You can upgrade to the Pro Toolkit and you'll be paying more, like $850. But look at that beautiful hand-wound movement from behind and the amazing tourbillon cage from the front. Well worthwhile for anyone who wants a bit more of a challenge and wants to be rewarded with a really elegant product. So there it is in all of its glory. The watch itself, I think the watch itself is solid. It scored 75 out of 100. That a really good, strong, solid score, and I don't think you'll be wasting your money if you buy the Bronze GMT diver. I also think that the DIY Watch Club has a lot to offer. And if you're wanting to get into watch building, if you're wanting to buy a watch building kit for someone, they're well worth your consideration. Have a look below this video. I've got discount codes where you can pay even less for your DIY Watch Club set, and they're always running specials on their site. And if you follow my affiliate link through, I want to say thank you, because I will get a bit of commission for everything that you buy from them. But thanks so much for coming on this journey with me. I've enjoyed it. Thank you to DIY Watch Club for sending along this unit, and join me in the next one, because it's going to be fun.